economic crisis has hit the army, and now, as per exclusive input to CNN News 18, top military commanders have written to the Army General Headquarters that not enough money remains to feed the soldiers and that the rising inflation is disturbing food supply chain in the soldiers' messes. Pakistan's food inflation surged from 12% to 36%, and Pak military have already cut 50% in soldiers' food funds. Now, cash-strapped Pakistan spends $13,400 per soldier, and army seeks additional food funds from the Defence Ministry. So we have this mega exclusive news break coming in that Pakistan economic crisis has now finally hit the army. CNN News 18's Anand Narasimhan is joining us to give us more details on this. Anand, can you tell us more about the economic crisis that's going on in Pakistan and has worsened to the level that now they don't have enough money to feed the soldiers?
Morning to our viewers and morning, Anjali. Yes, the top military source has told CNN News 18, and this is information courtesy of investigations editor Manoj Gupta, that some letters from the field commanders have been received at the Quartermaster General or the QMG office at the GHQ Rawalpindi, that is the general headquarters in Rawalpindi. The letters are talking about food and supply demand, the rising inflation, which is a disturbing trend, and how it is disturbing the overall food chain for the soldiers too. The complaining letters have been quite a few, and now the Quartermaster General has discussed the food supply logistics issues with the Chief of Logistics Staff and Director General Military Operations, or the DGMO. Now the top commanders have raised the concerns regarding food supply, and this has even gone to the Army Chief's doorstep, to his office, General Asim Munir. Now we are given to understand that Pakistan and its paramilitary troops, which are engaged in the border, and both eastern and the western side of Pakistani borders are quite active at this point in time. The eastern border, a compulsion of the Pakistanis, the western border because of what is happening with the Tehreek-e-Taliban and the ISKP and the actions there. So clearly there is huge troop deployment, and despite cutting the food funds and by nearly half, given the economic hardship that Pakistan as a nation is facing, there's not enough to feed the soldiers. Now, we're given to understand that they have turned around to the Defence Ministry, and communication has gone to the Defence Ministry seeking more funds to be released. Now, according to the 22-23 budget documents, about 1.52 trillion Pakistani rupees, that's almost $7.5 billion US, have been allocated for defence spending, which makes up for about 17.5% of the total current expenditure, and nearly about 12% higher than the fiscal year 2021-22. But, and like you said, that on an average, the Pakistan military spends about $13,400 per soldier annually. But right now, they don't even have about $3 billion in their forex reserves to be able to even facilitate the imports of all the stock that is currently lying in their docks. So they just don't know. They're caught between a rock and a hard place. The Pakistan government has passed, the National General Assembly has passed a mini budget of 170 billion, which is a mini budget which they have passed. But again, that means more taxes on the people. By the time those taxes are collected, the money turns around and comes, it's going to be a while. Now, the military commercial projects run by the Pakistani Army generals are approximately worth $26.5 billion US, because the Pakistani Army also controls a substantial share of the civilian financial projects in almost all domains, from theatres to real estate. So is there money that's going to be redeployed from there? Because a lot of the Pakistani common public believe that it's not just the foot soldiers, but the rank and file of the officers that has actually looted the Pakistani exchequer, and it's these military officers who have actually filled their own personal pockets over the last many decades at the cost of the Pakistan Army, the common soldiers' benefit, and also most importantly the people's benefit. Now, if it is about food supplies now, tomorrow it's going to be about providing pensions. Remember, let's not forget that till now, the IMF flagged it from the time of President Musharraf, the Pakistani soldier pensions, army pensions were actually part of the civil budget. Now it's been asked to be added to be part of the defense budget. That means the defense pockets will be further pinched. So we'll have to see how they're going to manage this. But there is a severe food crunch, or supply lines are severely disturbed as far as the Pakistani army is concerned.
Right, Anand. We also have security analyst Patikrit Payne joining us on this story. Mr. Payne, good morning. So this news break that's coming in tells us that Pakistan economic crisis has now hit the army too, and top military commanders have written to the army general headquarters that they don't have enough money to feed the soldiers. How would you like to react on this?
Well, it was bound to happen when the country is suffering. Invariably, there would be an impact on the army as well. But I think the Pakistan army or Rawalpindi establishment should be the last to actually take excuse or play the victim card, as Anand also rightly mentioned. Given the enormity of the wealth they actually control, which is around 26 to 30 billion dollars, I think it's not that difficult for them to divert part of it to actually replenish the supply lines of the Pakistan army. But certainly that is not going to happen because those money is meant only for the rich generals and their cohorts. There would definitely be a fallout of this because Pakistan is right now engaged in a fierce battle with Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, and Tehreek-e-Taliban has been, having the upper hand in many parts. At the same time, they are actually, given the kind of deep entrenchment they have in several parts of Pakistan, the possibility of a large scale of suicide attacks cannot be ruled out. In such a situation, when the Pakistan army morale is down, invariably the morale would be down when you're not in a position to even feed the common foot soldier. The impact of it would invariably be in terms of further deterioration of the law and order situation as well as the security situation. And other organizations, nefarious organizations, would definitely try to take advantage of it. The bigger issue is to what extent the non-state actors which have been controlled and sponsored by the states, how much the deep state of Pakistan now would be able to control the non-state actors, be it the Jaish-e-Mohammed or the Lashkar-e-Taiba, would now they ask for a larger share of the, say on things because they know that the Pakistan army is on the back foot. In all, if we look at it, the implosion of Pakistan is continuing and Pakistan is doing great in terms of making sure that the implosion continues at a very high momentum. Security concerns, inflation conditions, economic downfall, overall, it is going to amplify in terms of more law and order situation, more political rivalry, more political protest, more sectarian violence. In all, Pakistan is moving towards what perhaps would be the best thing for the world, that is the disintegration of Pakistan. It would not happen so soon, but Pakistan is doing everything possible in terms of making sure that it reaches its final culmination. The biggest problem is still now, even in spite of all this, Pakistan still doesn't have a blueprint as to how to rescue its economy out of this predicament that they are in. The political class, the elite class, the army is still busy in siphoning off the rest of the money away from the country so that their core assets remain secure, even if when the country is getting sunk into a bottomless pit from where there is no return point.
All right, Mr. Payne. We also have defense expert Major General A.K. Sibat joining us. So, sir, the Pakistan economic crisis has worsened and now it has hit the army. And the top military commanders have written to the army general headquarters saying that they don't have enough money to feed the soldiers. How would you like to react on this?
This is a fact because what happened is this was bound to happen. The point today is Pakistan is in a financial and economical crisis. The rates are rising so high, so whatever budget was there, you can't buy the things out of that. As it is, Pakistan army is a large army. In fact, it is an over-militarized country which can't afford such a large army. And now when the financial conditions are so weak, it is also affecting Pakistan army. But remind you, the Pakistan army is their own God's army, where everyone says that every country has an army. But in Pakistan, the army has a country. So therefore, though there will be a shortage, it may be temporary because the shortage is only for a common man there. As far as Pakistan army and the elites are concerned, they will be properly fed. So, but certainly it only shows you that the situation is gone so bad that as on today, it is also affecting Pakistan army, which is last one to be affected. And therefore, if they don't get a loan from IMF, which they are trying to get it, then there will be a total civil war type situation in Pakistan because the rates are now, the inflation has almost got 38%. The rates of everything, especially atta, dal, and rice, it has been skyrocketed, and it is affecting everyone. And now once it has affected the army, the morale of the army will be down. They have to fight against Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, which is becoming bold day by day. So it is a cause of concern, and it also shows Pakistan is on the verge of a financial collapse, and it can also lead into a civil war type situation.
Right, sir. Please stay with us. I'd like to go back to Mr. Payne. Mr. Payne, what do you think will be the repercussions of this issue if it's not addressed soon?
No, the repercussions, as has been mentioned, is that each is actually fueling the other in terms of amplification. For example, the inflationary conditions itself is creating a major problem for the existing government. People in Pakistan know it very well that the present government cannot be in power without the strong support of the Pakistan Army. Pakistan Army right now is in deep predicament because of challenges as mentioned in terms of their not being able to sustain themselves. So overall, there is deep resentment of the people of Pakistan today. That resentment is not just against the establishment, the government, chosen government, but also the army. Till now, before this present crisis, nobody actually used to say anything against the army. Today, people are openly talking about how the army has looted the country. Secondly, the situation when it comes to security is very, very grave in Pakistan. Apart from the sectarian violence that has continued in a large scale, the Baloch Liberation insurgent groups are joining hands with Tehrik-e-Taliban. There is a renewed, number of attacks which are happening on Chinese assets, because both the Baloch organizations and the Tehrik-e-Taliban realizes that, Pakistan's Achilles heel are the Chinese assets of CPEC. If they are targeted, then Pakistan's establishment gets hit even more. In such a scenario where the morale of the army might be down, where people are extremely against the government, when the writ that used to run large of the Pakistan army is going down, when the trust of people in the Pakistan army is going down, when the halo they had created for a long time is going down, and all the insurgent groups and groups which are inimical to the deep state of Pakistan are getting an upper hand, when organizations like Pakistan Tehrik-e-Labbaik are trying to stretch their wings, in such a scenario where no one is willing to help Pakistan anymore, situation is only going to get even more grave, to the extent that some of the strongest supporters of Pakistan today are refusing to give any more money. The real predicament, as I mentioned earlier, even today, in spite of all this, Pakistan still doesn't have a blueprint as to how they would recover and create a viable economy. Unfortunately, Pakistan never had a viable economy. It always ran on money that they received for all other nefarious activities because of its geostrategic location. Today, that USP that they held on to has completely got diluted. And because of this, they are actually going down the drain. Reality is Pakistan, if it doesn't create a blueprint in soon enough, the situation will be even more grave. We have to see how this evolves and whether it impacts other countries as well or not. But it seems today, as things stand, not many countries of the world are willing to rescue Pakistan anymore. A country which had taken money from Pakistan, IMF 21 times, in total $31 billion. Till date, there is no account of where the money had gone. Till date, there is no account of how they have planned to create a viable economy. And invariably, what is happening now was inevitable. It would have happened today or tomorrow. Sooner the better it is for world peace. The incubator and the harbinger of all kind of terror activities and terror training someday had to go down. This is what happens when you create hatred in a country instead of creating a viable modern society. And Pakistan is paying the price for all the harm that they had done to the rest of the world.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Patikrit Payne and Major General A.K. Siraj for speaking to CNN News 18. And right now we have some more